The upbringing of Asta and Yuno in the Black Clover anime is obviously a very big part of what made them who they are today and throughout the entirety of the series, but making them and giving them a different upbringing, specifically one like the idea that I'm having here, would so fundamentally change the kind of characters that they are, but two, up their power levels by such an extreme amount that I have to talk about it. Yo, what is going on, everybody, and welcome to the channel. If you guys do enjoy this video, make sure leave a like, subscribe to the channel, hit that notification bell for more videos like this. Hope you guys do stick around. But with all that said, welcome to What If Asta and Yuno were adopted by Mereoleona.
I gotta get me a bag, steady type of cash on my bro and that same shit. No, I don't fuck on no lame bitch. Can't even fuck on the same shit. I heard your shit in the swag. That shit is so sad, put in work at that basement. I charge you double that payment.
We begin the story in Hage village, the village where Asta and Yuno are raised after being put into the orphanage. For the first 5 years of their life, everything basically goes the exact same. Asta and Yuno are very close, have that extreme friendship and brotherly bond that we all know and love. Asta still has the same personality, and Yuno's still developing basically the exact same personality. Everything is going basically the exact same. The only main difference is when Mereoleona kind of comes into the picture in this kind of storyline. I only have her come in at specifically age 5 due to the fact that at the beginning of the series, or at least when she's introduced, she's around the age 31, 32. And if I was to have her take Asta and Yuno at the same couple month span that they come into the active orphanage, it would only make her 15, 16, and I think that's just too young, so not really reasonable. So I just said, give it 5 years, and just maybe that makes it work a lot better in my own head and whatever. But yeah, so continuing on. So Mereoleona, obviously, we all know she's not known for staying in the capital. She likes doing her own thing, gaunting around and just doing her own adventures, and that's what would be leading her into Hage village. She's just kind of been excurting around and somehow finds her way into this small little backwater village and ends up either needing some supplies, which she probably could usually get, or just needing to do something that requires her being in some kind of civilization-esque thing for a little while. So she's in Hage village. Obviously, her being a Vermilion gains a lot of notoriety, a lot of attention, and she's just Mereoleona. So she's still doing all the same stuff that she would normally be doing. Very flamboyant personality, very aggro, extremely strong, loud spoken, whatever you want to call it. But I just have a situation in my head, where while she's in the village or whatever, one, Asta is Asta, so he's going to have that same kind of personality. And it is going to be a very big situation of him just kind of maybe bumping into Mereoleona, either knowing or not knowing who she is, and just basically either striking up a conversation because he is just that outgoing, or just basically catching her attention in some way via training that he's doing, because Asta is Asta, and even at such a young age, him and Yuno would honestly most likely be found by Mereoleona just sparring and training, and she would most likely just take a second and look around at these specific two boys and see Asta actually doing fairly decently well, even though Yuno obviously has his abilities. And that's just due to the fact that they just train together and play around with each other so much, so their personalities would just be some kind of interest to Mereoleona. She might end up staying in the village for a little while, taking heed of these two specific boys and kind of noticing the very big differences between them, and noticing that one boy, obviously, it was only been a year, maybe a couple of years since Yuno's had access to his magic, or just still fairly small access to his magic, but Asta's not really showing any signs of that anyways, but she can see the spirit that this boy has in him. She can see the spirit inside of Asta, the spirit that's never letting him give up. And she would love that. She would absolutely love that, seeing the fighting spirit that he has and just seeing the relationship that these two have with each other. She would easily have some kind of emotional attachment at some point. We already know she really enjoys Asta and has some training with the Black Bull, specifically Asta and a couple other people as later on in the story. But I see her finding the time, speaking to them, getting to know them a little better, and eventually choosing to adopt them. Now, Obviously, I'm going to have her adopt them both because I don't really want to write a situation or a story specifically like this where they're not together, just due to the fact that I love their relationship for Asta and Yuno in general in any way. And two, I really don't think Asta would want to leave without Yuno or Yuno without Asta. They truly do love each other, specifically throughout their entire lives. They've been at the orphanage their entire time together. They are basically brothers in everything but biology. So I see them wanting to stick together more than anything else. Unless I say that's something different in another story where I separate them, but that's neither here or there. But yeah, she adopts them. And obviously, with doing that, that would probably cause some, rumors, or not even rumors, just like some speaking to fly between the entirety of the capital, because eventually she's going to have to return. She can't be leaving and doing what she does with children at all times. Obviously, she's going to train them. That's a given. But she can't just be doing what she does at any normal occasion willy-nilly with these two new kids that she's choosing to adopt at her age of 21, 22, or maybe 20, within those couple year age range that she's really grown attached to and really grown fond of. So she makes her way to the capital, makes her way to where all of the noble areas are, with the Silvas and all of the other noble families that we've kind of gotten to see. And we legit just see her come in, Fuegoleon around, whatever, and her introducing her technically new sons that she has just adopted. And obviously, most of the people, specifically almost all of the nobles that we have come to know, would be one flabbergasted just due to the fact that Mereoleona having, or just adopting kids in general, is a strange move, specifically on her end, since she's so free-spirited or whatever. But she is extremely strong, so I don't think anyone's really going to be arguing to her face. And I do somewhat see that when she is gone, they're going to treat Asta and Yuno with at least basic courtesy, just due to the fact that, as I said, Mereoleona is extremely strong, so being on her bad side is not the good option. It is a very bad option. It is the option you don't want to do. So I see them treating them with somewhat decent respect, while she needs to do some extremely dangerous missions or doing anything not yet ready for these boys. But obviously, with them now, basically spending a lot of time with all of these other noble families, specifically the Fuegoleons, since that is their now family. And I see Fuegoleon actually, really enjoying Asta and Yuno, because he actually fairly well does like them in later on, so I don't see him having a very big problem with them in general. And then Leo and Asta already get along very well in the anime, so I see them still getting along very well now. The only big issue that I see in any kind of almost certainty would be Asta and Yuno's relationship problems with any of the Silva families, because obviously we know how Noelle acted even when she just first met Asta, so I don't see them getting along extremely well at first, and I see that taking a lot of time until she notices that Asta is going to be actually nice to her the entire time, and her and Asta, might end up actually becoming friends after a little while of time kind of going around. And obviously, with them spending so much time around these nobles and everything else like that, everyone noticed that Yuno does have fairly strong wind magic, but they would also notice that Asta doesn't really seem to be exhibiting any magic in general. This would be a little weird, and they're not going to be pushing it too much, since, he hasn't gotten his grimoire yet, so they're not going to be really taking anything too much of a grain of salt. But Asta is still Asta, so I still do 100% see him doing as much training physically and anything like that in general. So due to the fact that Asta now has access to so much more equipment, so much more things, I see him very easily being able to do better workouts. Obviously, I'm not going to say he needs to look any better. He already has a phenomenal physique in anime anyways, but he just has an easier time when it comes to training. And even when Mereoleona comes back, I see her actually spending time with her sons, actually, treating them like her sons, and even taking them back to Hage Village every now and then, just so anytime that they want to come check on the people that they spent the first 5 years of their life with. So they still come around every not extremely often, not every month or whatever, but maybe once or twice a year. Mereoleona will let them come back, see the other people. One, just due to the fact that she's usually taking them on some training missions now, as they get a little older and older. especially like once they hit age 10 and whatever, she probably starts taking them on like just some small scale training missions to like get them stronger and stronger. And this training would obviously help them out tremendously, especially on like Yuno's end, who already has magic, would help him out. But Asta wouldn't be a slouch too. He would easily be getting some decent experience from this in any kind of way, just due to combat experience or just fighting experience or any kind of thing that Mereoleona really wants to teach him. Because when it comes to the art of throwing hands, she is not anywhere near the any other number but nine besides number one. She is top three, not two or not three. She is the top fighter that I could possibly think of when it comes to throwing hands in Black Clover, just due to the fact that she lives for that game. She loves that for any specific kind of reasoning. We all like seeing her fight. She is in the fight for the love of the game. And you've got to love that. But yeah, so Mereoleona is obviously going to be training and teaching them as much as she possibly can, and I see them getting a lot stronger almost instantaneously. And especially when we eventually do get to them getting their grimoires, I could easily I'm just going to have them somehow be in Hage Village at that exact time, just so we can guarantee the course of events of getting the exact same grimoire, since it was in that specific near Hage Village area, like that bigger city near the Hage Village area, and Asta still ending up getting the anti-magic grimoire. So as soon as all of that happens, firstly, there is no actual very big fight this time around, because one, Mereoleona will be around, and everybody knows, or at least Asta and Yuno are wearing the clothes of House Vermilion, so everybody's not going to be like, oh yeah, these two commoners can't be getting 4-leaf grimoires, or like any grimoires in general. So like they're not going to be pissing on Yuno for getting a 4-leaf grimoire and annoying him, because he's not a commoner anymore. He is a noble. He's basically a royal, actually. So everybody's not having a problem with this. And even if we have a situation where we have like the chain magic user actively come into the situation, Mereoleona is in close enough range where she is going to be dealing with that herself. And after she figures out that one, Yuno has a 4-leaf grimoire and Asta's magic is fairly strange, for that any piece amount of time before they actually have to go into the Magic Knight training exams, because they obviously still would want to, she knows that they both want to become the Wizard King or whatever. And now having somebody like Mereoleona, who is very much in contention to be a contender for the next Wizard King, just due to how strong she is. One, they love their mother at this point. They also are very much inspired by her because of that singular fact. So they love training with her. They love having that opportunity, just being around her in general, just because they have a very close-knit relationship, just because so many other factors also. So during that, I don't know if it's a couple months period before the actual Magic Knight entrance exams, or however long it is, but during that span that they get their grimoires and before we have the Magic Knight entrance exam, there will be an entire what am I saying? They don't really even need to participate. I think the only reason I'm saying this is due to the fact that I see them wanting to participate just because they want to show off. It's Asta, it's due to the fact that they're nobles, they can just choose and basically get in, like how Noelle did. But I see them actually still wanting to, put in the test and put in the effort, just due to the kind of people that they are. So we'll just continue with what I said. But yeah, before all those events, I see Mereoleona actively putting them both into some ghoulish training. I mean, some almost hellish level training, just to get them prepared and get them more strong. Yuno uses and gets basically put into like mana dense zones, all of these other things that she was basically putting them through later on into now, and basically gives them that much more training. Asta gets a lot of experience from this, first of all, and Mereoleona is basically helping Asta with all of the magic that he can, and especially with his sword. I think it's the Demon Dwelling Sword that he has at first. It is very good practice fighting against fighting against Mereoleona, and just kind of being able to be in the wilderness and basically do the kind of training that Mereoleona does that makes her so strong, which is going to make those two so strong in general, or at least a lot stronger than they would have been at this point in time without her influence, and her influence is truly helping out quite a bit. So once we get to the Magic Night entrance like ceremony, things quite very much take a very big turn into how they would normally have gone. Obviously, once they both come in, they're, as I said, they're only doing this because they want to do it. They were given the option if they wanted to or not, and they chose to do it. So they do it. They come in. Yuno has his 4-leaf. Asta has his like his actual anti-magic Ramar, and it's basically, for the first part, goes fairly similar. The birds are basically all attracting to Asta. None of them are attracting to Yuno, so it causes whatever. But obviously now when Yami comes through, Asta and Yuno already know Yami, so they actually have a fairly decent conversation with him and aren't actively extremely afraid of him, just due to the fact that they're with Mereoleona a lot of times, and Asta has met almost all of the Magic Knight captains at this point, just due to the fact of being Mereoleona's son. Especially the same goes with Yuno. So there is no really big dramatic scene between Asta and Yami this time around, where Yami's basically asking Asta if he has the death wish or whatever. So there's no drama there. And when it comes to any of the actual events on like all of the things, all of the fights and everything else like that, it is honestly just a lot simpler for Asta, just due to the fact that he basically has a lot more experience, and everybody already knows specifically that he is extremely strong in general, and he's gonna get at least one offer just off the bat, just due to the fact that he is a Fuegoleon. So he will be a guaranteed spot into the Vermilion, like the entire like Flaming Vermilion's Magic Knight squad. But that might not be the one he wants to choose. It might not be. It probably won't be, just because of how I'm going to be making this. So just heads up. But obviously being is going to get his options, and he ends up, once everything is over, getting the exact same options that he got originally. He has everybody raise their hands, and he ends up choosing the Flaming Vermilions. Yes, he has the option to go with the, actual Golden Dawn, but he has his family in the Vermilions, so he's going to go with the Vermilions. He's going to go stick with his family, stick with his uncle, stick with his cousin, and just basically have some fun over there, while Asta chooses to go the other route. He really enjoys having Yami's presence or whatever, so I see him actually still going with the Black Bulls just for the fun of it and just for the plot. And he already knows that Noel's going to be there, so he at least wanted to have somebody. He already knows he's going to have somebody that is going to be able to know him already, so it makes it a lot easier for him to at least take that choice also. So that is where they end up, still kind of separated, but with a very big difference of Yuno not ending up in the Flaming, like in the Golden Dawn. But yeah, that is where I'm going to be ending at least this part. If you guys did enjoy it, make sure leave a like, subscribe to the channel, hit that notification bell for more videos like this. I hope to see you guys in the next video. Peace.